Hey guys, welcome to the Playful Life Podcast. I am your host, Crystal, and this podcast is your home for finding everything that is going to give you the tools to live your most fulfilled life. Whether it's fitness, nutrition, alternative medicine, different kinds of therapies, conventional practitioners, we've got it all here to really get you living your best, most healthiest life, mind, body, and spirit. Are you living the playful life? Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Just want to send a shout out real quick to Ron Harlow Media, of course, for hosting this podcast every Thursday. Be sure to check Ron Harlow out every day from 4 to 6 right here on the Ron Harlow Media, as well as the Cheeky Mom on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. They've got some great programming here and more to come from Ron Harlow Media. Definitely. Also want to mention just a couple of our sponsors. Christine Reiser from First Centennial Mortgage. She's a top qualified mortgage loan officer. She is a former realtor. So guys, she gets buying a house. She understands that process for you. So she's not just doing the mortgage side of it. She understands, all of the things you're going through when you're trying to find that perfect dream home for yourself. She is not your average lender, believe me. If you want to contact Christine, you can call her at 219-789-8313 or email her at c.reiser, R-E-I-S-E-R, at gofcm.com. And her office is in Valparaiso, and she's got day or nights available. And I'm sure right now with COVID, she'd be willing to meet with you over Zoom. And I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Dr. Jody Barnett from Harvested Health. And Jody is amazing. She has worked with some of my clients and even some of my clients' kids to get them healthy and get them on the right track with all their nutrition. She's a naturopath, Dr. Jody Barnett. She finds ways to increase your energy. She reviews your profile, your fluid analysis, and all of this data she collects so that she can get a current, accurate picture and state of your body and your health. So I would strongly suggest just make a consultation with her and she can go into some depth with you and just really get all these things on track for you. So contact Dr. Jody at 219-713-4789, or for more information, you can visit her website at Jody, Jodi Barnett, Barnett 758.com. All right, again, I'm going to read that one more time because that was a lot. So Jody Barnett, Jodi Barnett 758.com. All right, and she's got some healthy recipes and different stuff on there too. So go ahead and follow her on Facebook. She's been a really great friend to Ron Harlow Media, and check her out for all those awesome things. Okay, so today's topic we are talking about is, are you attractive? And I know what you're thinking by looking at that title. You're thinking, what the heck? This is such a shallow thing to talk about. But we are not talking about physical attraction, about romantic attraction or sexual attraction or any of that. We're talking about the kind of person you are and how you attract opportunities and relationships into your life. So to get into this topic, I want to start with talking about self-esteem. And, sometimes even when we think about physical attraction, we think about self-esteem, right? When we think that we're physically attractive, or sometimes we even think that if people are physically attracted to us in some sort of way, that sort of feeds into our self-esteem, right? So what I want to do is sort of flip that and challenge you to look at self-esteem as the thing that needs to be there first for you to be attractive for all of these other avenues and things to come into your life. And I think also when we talk about self-esteem, people can be very confused or in the mindset that that means that we're being selfish or that we are not giving of ourselves enough. If we have too much self-esteem, sometimes you've heard people referred to as being arrogant or pompous or full of themselves, right? So we have this misconception that self-esteem is a bad thing. And really, it's so vital and so critical for us to have self-esteem in order for us to have self-love. And in that, having self-love is what helps others to give us the love in return that we're looking for and that we deserve. So let's just talk a little bit about self-esteem. And I looked up psychology today. They talk about self-esteem really having to do with confidence. And self-esteem is having the confidence in your own value as a human being, so that you know that you'll have achievements and good relationships, and that you're worthy of having satisfaction in your life and having those accomplishments in your life. And sometimes not having that self-esteem can lead to depression, or not having the things that we want in our life. So it's sort of aloof, right? This idea of self-esteem and what we think about it. So sometimes it helps for me to think about, well, what is the opposite of having self-esteem? So when we have low self-esteem, here's some of the things that you might want to watch out for in your life. And when I go through this list, if you're saying, sitting there saying to yourself like, oh gosh, I don't know, this sounds like me, then we got some work to do. So, one sign or side effect of having low self-esteem is, having a real difficult time speaking up for yourself, or having a difficult time prioritizing your own needs, your wants, or your feelings. So that constant self-sacrificing. And I'm not saying that it's not good to sacrifice sometimes for others, of course, because that's, when we love people, we want to help them and sacrifice for them. But when we are constantly putting our own well-being on the side for other people, for our family, our jobs, these types of things, and this can really manifest itself in poor health. So if we're not taking the time to work out, if we're not taking the time to prepare good meals and eat healthy and be in the right mindset to meditate and do all these things for our own good, then that's really a sign that we don't have the self-esteem to say, hey, this time I'm worthy of this time during the day to spend on myself. Another one, and I feel that sometimes I'm guilty of this one, that we tend to say I'm sorry a lot. And I don't know if it's a female thing. Females, throw your hands up. Men too, if you're out there. Just because I'm a female, I feel like I could really sort of identify with the female side of this. But men obviously have this problem, or this trouble too. But just saying I'm sorry in situations where, like, you're not really at fault. Like, you don't have anything to be sorry about. Especially, like, I feel like sometimes even in the grocery store, right, where I'm like trying to move around somebody, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, like, we're just trying to cohabitate the same space in the grocery store. It's nothing to be sorry about. But that constant feeling of having to, express our guilt in those situations can be a sign that maybe you don't have the self-esteem that you should be having for yourself. Another one is not feeling capable of doing more. So, when we think about having that big dream or that big goal, that promotion, the family, the relationship, and saying, like, deep down we feel like, well, maybe I'm not capable of handling all those things, or, I don't know, that dream just seems sort of big, and I don't think that's meant for someone like me. When we use that kind of language and that kind of self-talk, that's a real sign that we need to work on our self-esteem. And this is another one. I'm going to throw my hand up and say, hey, I have trouble with this sometimes, but just difficulty making decisions. So I feel like we know what we want, and so often we're afraid to put our idea forth, or make a decision and say, yes, I want to go here or there for dinner, or, yes or no, I want to do this. So just sort of being wishy-washy and always finding yourself on the fence about things, and not being able to really come to a decision about things that really matter in your life could be a sign that you need to work on your self-esteem. Also, having a negative self-perception, or being very critical and almost abusive in our internal self-talk. And you may know someone in your life who is very self-deprecating. And basically that means that, when you're around that person, they're always making jokes about themselves. Maybe they joke about their weight. Maybe they joke about their lack of money, their lack of skills. And Sometimes people use humor as a defense mechanism. So they're feeling guilty, or they're feeling like they have to explain why they don't have certain things in their life. And so they go to the humor side of things. But, that's still very, it's negative self-talk. And when we talk like that about ourselves to others, we're sending a message not only to those around us, but we're just constantly sending a message to our brains to keep that record player going, and to keep that self-esteem kind of at a place where it's not really growing. So be very mindful of how you talk about yourself to and around others, and especially to yourself. And I love this one strategy that I came across a while ago when I was doing my pageant preparation. I came across this woman, Dale Smith Thomas, and if you get a chance, look her up. She's amazing. She has a book called Good Morning Gorgeous. And she has really built an awesome career for herself as a motivational speaker. And she goes around and, one of the messages she tries to convey is that we need to look at ourselves in the mirror every morning and say, "Good morning, gorgeous," and really mean it. And, even if we feel silly, sometimes like getting past that feeling silly and just doing it until it becomes a habit, until we really can look at ourselves and say, "Yes, I am gorgeous." And men too, you are gorgeous. So don't give me that. You can say it to yourself too, but just that positive mental self-talk that you have in the mirror with yourself, in the car with yourself, when something falls on the ground or something happens, and we feel like, oh, the whole day is just off the rails, right? I mean, we can have just such a negative self-talk about like, oh, why did I drop that? I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? Why did I make that choice? Why didn't I leave 10 minutes earlier? We tend to really just beat ourselves up all day long. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of how many times you're kind of giving yourself a knock in the face or in the gut during the day. So kind of tying this into this whole attractiveness conversation. So when we think of the law of attraction, sometimes people get like, I don't know, that's so like woohoo out there, new agey. And, some of that conversation can be, but honestly, it's just really simple. Like, are you the kind of person who is attracting the relationships, the opportunities into your life that you want? And, it's very simple, right? Like attracts like. And when we think about the law of attraction, it's not necessarily like meditating on something long enough so that it literally falls in your lap, but really it's about putting in work and self-development. And I think you're probably a little misguided or have a misconception of what that whole movement of the law of attraction is if you think that it's just literally sending out a message to the universe and letting things come to you without putting forth any effort, right? The effort is what is going to get you to that place where you're literally attracting the right things and people into your life. So I love to talk about this idea of personal development, self-development, and we know the world of Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and all these people out there who talk about self-development, personal development, and it's especially if you have friends or family who do network marketing, like it's such an interesting characteristic of people who are entrepreneurs or people who are in like a networking type of business, because they are constantly working on themselves. They're constantly doing personal development, self-development, reading the books, listening to the lectures. And that's because, they understand that they have to grow. They have to be a certain person in order to attract those opportunities and attract that business into their lives. And not only that, but like it's going to come to them anyway. But if we're not ready and confident enough to take on, the clients, take on the business, take on the opportunities, the job advancement, the relationship, the marriage, whatever it is, if we're not at a point where we're literally ready to handle that, chances are we may even get it and then let it go right away because we don't have the confidence to see it through. So I encourage you to find self-development, find personal development, and there's so much out there, and find someone that resonates with you. And you can do that by I think one of the easiest ways to find something that resonates with you is to find other people around you, whether they're your friends on Facebook or, people that you follow on social media, whoever, and, maybe just look at people who are doing the thing you want to do successfully and ask them, what kind of personal development they do, because I can almost guarantee 100% that if somebody is out there and they're successful at what they're doing, they are doing some kind of personal self-development. So send them a message, follow what they're doing, look at their hashtags, look who they're tagging, and start to get on that train of thought. So there's some kind of fun things I just want to throw out here in conclusion. And these things that, we can start working on today, right? If we don't, have time to go and run out and get a book today or sign up for a lecture or whatever it is. Like, here are some very basic things that you can start to do to make yourself more attractive, right? And what does that mean? Just to have more self-esteem and have some more self-love. So the number one thing I have here is to have fun by yourself. And I'm sure we know people in our lives that it just seems like when they're by themselves, they're very uncomfortable. Especially during this whole like COVID thing, I know I had friends that I thought, well, man, I know that like they're not leaving the house and they don't live with anybody and they're not really visiting family. And so I was checking in on them to see if they were okay, because, sometimes when we're just left with ourselves, if we don't love ourselves and value ourselves, like, if you're not friends with yourself, like, what do you have at the end of the day when there's nobody left around? So learn to have fun by yourself, and learn to take little mini adventures or whatever it is. Put music on and dance around in your house. Whatever it is, have a party for one, right? Sometimes when I travel, I go to restaurants by myself. And, at first when I started doing this, I used to be like, yes, party of one, just me, like lonely me just sitting in a restaurant by myself. And then I was like, no, this is so cool that I get to just like have a date with me and like focus on me for a night and just enjoy something really wonderful as a meal out by myself. Like, enjoy the time that you spend alone. Another great thing to do right now, here and now, to start developing your self-esteem is to forgive yourself. And this is a big one. I could do a whole podcast just on self-forgiveness, guys. And there's a lot on this topic, but just the small things, right? If you open up something, like if you go in your refrigerator and you go reach for your almond milk and you accidentally spill the whole darn thing all over the kitchen, don't drag that with you the whole day. Just like forgive yourself for being like a klutz for a minute. Whoops. Everybody has a whoops. Just get over it, clean it up, and move on, and forgive yourself, and don't let that travel with you during the day. So, that's just something very simple, obviously, and very nominal, but forgiving yourself for the big things in life too. Sometimes you need a coach or a mentor or somebody to help you with those things. And if there's something in your life that you feel you need to forgive yourself for, I really strongly recommend that you find someone to walk you through that process. Another great thing that I always suggest to my clients is having a journal. And again, this is something kind of cool with, if you're the kind of person who's not very comfortable with yourself and with your own thoughts, and when you're kind of left by yourself, you're like, oh, I don't know, my mind just races, right? And I think of a million things and I get really anxious. And sometimes that happens. Honestly, that used to be me. I used to be very anxious when I was just by myself, because I had, all these thoughts and then I had negative thoughts and all these things. And then I didn't want to be thinking negative, and it was a whole thing. So just getting a journal is kind of like having a friend that you walk around. You have this in your pocket, you just walk around with it, or keep it in your drawer, keep it by your bedstand, whatever. And you know that at least you have that to tell things to. If there's nobody else that you think would listen to you or understand what you're going through, get a journal, guys. Write it down. And sometimes when we write down the problems or the things we're going through, they lose their weight and they lose their ability to have control over us. So get a journal, guys. It's so important. I think I've shared this before, but I love like going to the store and picking out my next journal. Like when I get towards the end of the one that I'm using, I love that process. I love going to find one with a cute design or cute saying on it. And Five Below has some really awesome, cute little journals there. So have fun with it, right? Have fun by yourself. Go get yourself a fun journal, something that you're going to look forward to writing in every day. And the last one here is just this is a big one, and it's learning to say no. So this goes back to, when we talked about having those signs of low self-esteem, and when we're constantly putting our own desires, our own wants to the side for everybody else. I mean, again, sometimes we have to do that, right? We want to sacrifice. We want to sacrifice for our friends and family and all these things. But if we are constantly always saying yes to everybody else, I can almost guarantee at some point you're saying no to yourself. So just understand that, just because you're saying yes all the time doesn't mean you're really saying yes all the time. Oftentimes, we're saying no to ourselves the most. Like, we're getting the biggest no ever when we say yes to all these other things. And again, I'm going to be honest and put my hand up in the air on that one, because I feel that I can oftentimes say yes, fill my plate, and feel obligated to do a lot of things for others. And 2020 with COVID-19, guys, like I almost want to forget this whole year even happened. That like I feel like I've had the gift of being able to do that a little bit more, just because I wasn't able to leave the house and, do all those things for everybody else and volunteer and be here, be there, and be in a million places, because I was staying home more. I am staying home more, I'm not going out as much. So just really kind of taking that time to feel the grace of saying yes to myself finally. And it's been amazing. And I will say that I do really feel like I'm more attractive, that I'm turning into the person who is going to attract the opportunities and the qualities and other people that are going to work well with me and partner with me and bring me to the next level. And honestly, when I started saying yes to myself at the beginning of the whole, quarantine thing this year, I did, man, I found some amazing mentors. I found some awesome opportunities. Like when I felt like I had hit a wall, and I just decided to breathe and step back and give myself some grace and say, okay, I forgive myself for, not setting myself up in a way that I'd be recession proof or, pandemic proof, whatever in my business. I was able to let in all of these other awesome, awesome things and people into my life that are just like propelling me forward in crazy momentum. So it does work. And I want to tell you that because it's not something that is for other people or something that's intangible, right? We can all have these things, and we can all achieve amazing things and attract people into our lives. So I'd like to also give you a little food for thought, but when we think about maybe up-leveling at work, right? Getting a promotion, when we talk about this idea of attractiveness and sort of attracting it into our lives, we can definitely do a few things to set ourselves on that path. And I'm going to throw in the relationship example in here too, because I feel like they're very similar. Because if you're looking for a spouse or, just someone to date or someone to be with or a friend, whatever it is, just having a clear vision of what that is. So if it's a job or a promotion or business or career path, whatever it is, having a clear vision of what it is, guys, we talk about defining it all the time. Again, I could do a whole nother episode on that, and I probably will. But, setting a vision board for yourself, writing it down in your journal, whatever it is, just get really specific about it. How much money you want to make at that job and what it all entails. What are the job responsibilities? What's the description of it? And, being really clear on that. And then ask yourself, well, what kind of person would have this job? Like, what are all the qualities? When you look at a job posting, like on an Indeed or Career Builder or whatever, I don't know all the ones that are out there, but, when we look at a job posting, right, what is it? It lists usually what the job description is. And then it lists what? The qualifications, right? So it lists that like you either need a 4-year degree or high school diploma or so many years of experience or some of these characteristics like results oriented, really career driven, communication skills, whatever it is. So write that down for yourself, almost as if you're putting out a classified for like your future self. So what qualities or characteristics do you need to embody, or does that person who has that job or that career that you have in your mind, like what kind of characteristics does that person have, and how can you develop those skills, develop those characteristics and everything like that? Because I guarantee when you start to do that and you start to do the work on yourself, all those other opportunities are just going to come flowing to you. And when they do, you're going to be prepared because you're going to have all those qualifications already because you've been working on it. So in the relationship part of this, thinking about, friends or relationships like, marriage, dating, whatever it is, think about that ideal person. Think about, what are you looking for in a mate? What are you looking for in a friend? Somebody who, is adventurous, somebody who likes to travel, somebody who, is a great listener, for instance. I mean, write all this stuff down, guys. Get so specific. I mean, like, detail it out. I know it sounds goofy woo-woo, but do it. This is a great exercise. And then look at that list and say, okay, how many of these do I embody? How many of these qualities do I have? What about this person reflects in me? And guys, this is going to make you into that person that when you meet that person who's right for you, that friend, that spouse, that mate, that relationship, whatever it is, that business partner even that you're looking for, they're going to see those qualities reflected in you. So that person, may have passed you by, right? They may have said, oh, I don't know, maybe I don't want to really do business with her. But when you start to embody those characteristics and have those qualities, now those people stop and look, right? They stop and look and say, oh, wow, look at her or look at him and look at what they're doing. That's so in line with what I'm doing. And, sometimes the timing just lines up then, right? Because now we are attractive to those people and we have those qualities that are, literally they're able to see reflected in us. So I hope that helps, guys. I hope that kind of breaks down a little bit the whole like law of attraction thing for you. And, don't think it's crazy or woo-woo weird science or whatever, but I mean, just really look at it from a very practical point of view that, you can essentially attract things into your life, but it takes some work. And I know that sounds scary, but honestly, it's fun, and enjoy the journey along the way. And, getting into personal development and self-development is really exciting and fun. And when you start to change and see things in yourself and notice these characteristics, like I know other people around you are also going to see those changes. So if you loved this podcast and really got something from it, I encourage you to share it with somebody, hit like, subscribe, follow this podcast, and be sure to watch all the episodes wherever you find and listen to all of your podcasts. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you next time, and as always, stay playful.